The smoke of the Galactic war still hung in the void, a toxic haze that stretched between worlds like a scar. Commander Jax Marlowe drifted among the ruins of the battle station orbiting Dravix Prime, the remnants of human and alien ships scattered across space like shattered glass. The war had ended, not with diplomacy, but with exhaustion. Entire civilizations were reduced to rubble, alliances fractured beyond repair, and the fragile peace that emerged felt like it could snap at any moment. Jax had survived by sheer stubbornness and skill, but survival had its own burdens. He was a soldier trained for combat, not caretaking, yet the war's last orders from the Provisional Galactic Council came with an unusual charge: protect an alien child. Her name was Leora, a girl of no more than 13 cycles, whose species, the Siltheri, were among the first casualties of the war. Her parents, diplomats and scientists, had been executed during a skirmish on their homeworld. She had been whisked away to a refugee compound, only to be lost in the chaos when the compound was attacked by marauders. It was Jax's task to find her, and once found, keep her alive. When Jax first met Leora, she was hidden in the hollow of an abandoned cargo freighter on the outskirts of Dravix Prime's orbital debris field. Her skin shimmered faintly blue, her eyes a striking gold, and her hair floated in the microgravity like strands of liquid silver. Despite the devastation around her, she stared at Jax with unwavering courage, or perhaps defiance. "I'm supposed to protect you," Jax said, voice low, masking the unease he felt. He had protected squads, convoys, even entire cities during the war, but never a child. "You stay close. Don't run. Don't speak to anyone unless I tell you to." She tilted her head, her eyes narrowing. "Why me?" Jax hesitated, the words heavy in his throat. "Because you're important. Someone has to make sure you survive." Leora's gaze softened, but she didn't answer. Instead, she followed him as they navigated the broken corridors of the freighter. Every shadow held danger. Every sound could signal attack. Jax's instincts never slept, and he found himself scanning constantly, weapon in hand, shielding her from threats both seen and unseen. Days became weeks as they journeyed across the remnants of war-torn systems. Jax learned to read Leora's moods, her subtle shifts in energy, her silent fears. She was more than a child. She was a repository of knowledge, a living witness to atrocities the galaxy might never forget. But she was also incredibly vulnerable. She could not fight, could not flee, could not defend herself. Jax's burden grew heavier with every passing day. Their first real test came on the asteroid belt near the broken moon of Zyphron. Marauders, desperate for salvage after the war, had tracked Leora's unique biosignature. Jax fought with precision, moving as a shadow among the jagged rocks, taking down enemies with both strategy and brute force. Leora clung to his back, eyes wide but unafraid. After the last marauder fell into the void, Jax knelt beside her, wiping a streak of blood from his cheek. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded. "I thought you said no one could survive out here." "I didn't say that," Jax replied. "I said I could survive out here. And I won't let anyone take you from me." There was an unspoken bond forming, fragile but unbreakable. Leora began to trust him, and Jax, though reluctant, began to feel responsibility transform into something deeper, like the faint glimmer of family he hadn't known he could have. They eventually arrived at a remote colony on the icy planet of Thrixis. The planet was scarcely more than a research outpost, its domed cities glittering against the endless snow. Jax was wary. The locals were suspicious of outsiders, especially of humans, but here he felt a faint sense of relief. At least for now, Leora was safe. But safety, as always, was temporary. During a routine patrol of the perimeter, Jax sensed something off, a disturbance in the energy field surrounding the colony. A faction of rogue AI drones, remnants of the war's automated armies, had returned, drawn by Leora's unique energy signature. They didn't speak, didn't hesitate, they simply attacked. Jax fought with every ounce of strength and experience, but there were too many. Leora's shriek broke through the metallic cacophony of lasers and explosions. He saw a drone about to strike her, and instinct overtook reason. He shoved her out of the way, taking the full brunt of the attack. Pain exploded through his shoulder and chest, and he collapsed onto the frozen ground. Leora screamed, but Jax's last words before he lost consciousness were, "Run, hide, survive." When he awoke, hours later, he was in the colony's infirmary. Leora sat at the edge of his bed, her golden eyes brimming with tears. She reached out, touching his hand softly. "You didn't leave me," she whispered. "I promised," he rasped. "I'll keep that promise." The incident changed everything. Jax's injuries were serious, but not fatal, and the colony's doctors insisted he remain under care. Leora stayed by his side, bringing him small meals, reading fragments of old Silthery histories aloud, and sharing stories of her homeworld before the war. Jax listened, absorbing her words, realizing that protecting her was more than survival. It was about preserving a piece of a galaxy that had nearly been lost. Weeks passed, and Jax's strength returned. Leora grew more confident, more curious about the world, but she never strayed far from his side. Together, they trained in secret, combining Jax's combat skills with Leora's innate abilities to sense energy patterns, a gift of her species. They became a team, not just protector and charge, but partners in the truest sense. Eventually, the Galactic Council summoned them. They had a new mission: restore stability to the systems ravaged by war and prevent new conflicts. Leora would be their envoy, a symbol of hope and survival, and Jax would remain at her side, her guardian. The road ahead was uncertain, dangerous, but no longer unbearable. As they boarded the starship that would take them to the heart of the fractured galaxy, Leora turned to Jax. "Do you think we can really make a difference?" Jax glanced at the stars stretching endlessly before them. "I don't know," he said, voice steady. "But as long as we stick together, we'll survive. And maybe, just maybe, we can give this galaxy a second chance." Leora smiled, a rare, radiant expression, and for the first time in cycles, Jax felt something beyond duty, a spark of hope. They were an unlikely pair, a battle-hardened human soldier and an alien girl orphaned by war. Yet in that unlikely bond, they carried the future of countless worlds. And for Jax, that was enough. The ship's engines roared to life, carrying them toward the unknown. Each passing star, each glimmering planet, held a chance for redemption, for justice, for survival. And as the stars stretched into infinity, Jax knew that protecting Leora was no longer just a task, it was his purpose. In a galaxy fractured by war, in a universe where hope seemed as fragile as glass, a human soldier and an alien girl would walk together, facing dangers that could erase entire worlds. But they would endure, because sometimes the smallest spark, an unbreakable bond, could ignite the brightest light. And in the end, that light would define them more than any war ever could.